It's Book Report Monday. Just barely got this one in on time. Hopefully, I'll get the others in and start getting ahead to get this 31-day video challenge all wrapped up nice and tidy. Today, we're going to talk about How to Eat in the Woods, which is a neat book. The cover, it's a hardcover book, and it looks like it was printed on or printed with a slab of wood. At least my copy does. This will just be a short review. This is overall a good book. It's interesting. I mean, well, if you like if you like the Facebook group and the YouTube videos, you'll probably like this book too. It's that kind of stuff with generally good information. I mean, I'm not an expert on all things survival, but on the areas where I do find that I have more. I don't like to call myself an expert on anything because I feel like the more you know, the more you realize that you don't really know anything because you realize how much there is. But as a person who, let's say, is friendly with plants in general, I find the information to be good information. So I would expect in the other areas where I am, not as well versed, that information is probably, quality too. And it's generally a fast-paced book. You move from topic to topic fairly quickly, just kind of getting the gist of it. This book is what I would call a mile wide and an inch deep, and I mean that in a good way, not in a negative connotation. It covers a lot of topics under the realm of eating in the woods. It talks about trapping and hunting animals, setting snares, catching squirrels. It talks about the edible wild plants. It talks about fishing, where to fish on a river or in a pond, what time of day and what time of year. I mean, there's a lot of information. So naturally, unless this book is going to be 1,000 pages thick, it's not going to be able to go into a great deal of detail on any one of those. What I would say is this kind of book, it's good for getting the general idea of each of these concepts. So, like I have more experience with the edible and medicinal type of plants. So when I read through that section, I found it to be neat. It was of an interest area for me, but I didn't learn a whole lot. It's been a while since I've read it. I'm sure I'm sure there were a few things in there for me to learn because nobody knows everything. But that part wasn't as interesting for me because I knew most of the surface level stuff. But on the areas where I didn't know as much, like fishing, I like to go fishing, but I'm not particularly, skilled with knowing, what time of day for the time of year for the type of fish, that you want to go and which types of lures work for each fish and where they tend to want to hang out along the side of a river or a pond. So that was very interesting for me. And I know that I didn't absorb enough information to become an expert, and I didn't absorb enough information that I could confidently and effortlessly survive in the wild on a riverside, using that information. But I did get some traction in that area, and I know that if I want to get more information, I know several things that I can go and search for so that I can expand my information. It gives you a place to go, and that's how I think you should look. You should look at this book as sort of a salad bar sampler of all things eating in the woods, and you will probably pick up a lot of concepts that you didn't know about before, or maybe you didn't even know that they were options. And then from there, you can go on to some of the meatier, deeper books that specialize in that topic, if you're into that kind of thing. That's my review. I do think it's handy if you are really looking for a foraging book and you really are, if you want the deep details in anything, this is probably not the book for you. This is sort of your sampler and your cliff notes, just get the gist of it kind of a book. And now, as is becoming customary, it's time for my shameless plug. Are you looking for more information on survival, books, herbal medicine, foraging, zombies, things like that? Do you want to support, I can't talk. Do you want to support the anti-zombie efforts? Why not go to patreon.com/foragersguide. That's my Patreon page. And for just $1 a month, you can get all kinds of neat bonuses, ebooks, extra posts, and well, the more money you want to throw at me, the more bonus things you get. But there are a lot of cool things. You can go and check that out and see what the tiers are and what they have to offer. It really helps me out, and it helps justify putting in all this time to do these things. So I'd appreciate if you had time if you went over there. And I think that's going to wrap it up. Tomorrow I will have another video on something. At some point, we're going to look at the difference between cedars and cedars, because not all cedars are cedars, and we can look at some of the edible and medicinal properties of those. But until then, I want you to keep your eyes out for plants and for zombies. Happy foraging, everybody.